Israel has targeted Hezbollah's communication network by planting explosives in thousands of pagers and two-way radios used by the Lebanese group. Israeli intelligence reportedly set up a shell company that intercepted the supply chain that delivered the communication devices 5 months ago. Israel planned to use the explosives as cover to launch an assault on southern Lebanon, but moved early, fearing the plan had been uncovered. More than 3,000 people were wounded and at least 37 were killed. No senior Hezbollah officials were wounded. The attacks create the opportunity for Israel to launch the ground offensive Netanyahu and others in his cabinet have long been talking about. The attacks have temporarily disrupted Hezbollah's communications and ability to command and control its forces effectively, but the group will likely adapt and find new means of continuing the fight with Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, "We are opening a new phase in the war. It requires courage, determination and perseverance from us." Israel has for long wanted to force Hezbollah to pull its forces back to the Litani River in order to create a buffer zone inside Lebanon. Hassan Nasrallah refused to intervene or open a new front against Israel after its assault on Gaza after October 7th. He argued unless the war expanded, Hezbollah would not get involved. Now the war has come to Hezbollah's doorstep. The highest-ranking officer in the US Navy unveiled plans to be ready for a war with China by 2027 as the US military is preparing for a direct fight with Beijing despite the risk of nuclear war. The plan lays out goals to be reached by 2027, including making 80% of the naval force ready for combat deployments on short notice. Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Lisa Franchetti told the Associated Press she wants to increase combat readiness, so if the nation calls us, we can push the go button and we can surge our forces to be able to meet the call. Franchetti said the US is taking lessons from Ukraine's operations against Russia in the Black Sea and the US's new war against the Houthis in Yemen. Franchetti also said that she is focusing on getting ready for war with China by 2027 because that is the year that President Xi told his forces to be ready to invade Taiwan. Despite the US build-up, China has many advantages and strengths as it's based in the region and would be resourcing any war from close proximity, whilst the US will need to project power into the region and rely upon local bases and regional allies. The 21st century's great power competition is now well underway. Moscow's announcement of a dramatic increase in the size of the Russian army to 1.5 million personnel will make it the second largest in the world. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters this is due to the number of threats that exist to our country along the perimeter of our borders. It is caused by the extremely hostile environment on our western borders and instability on our eastern borders. This demands appropriate measures to be taken. This is the third time Putin has expanded the army's ranks since sending his military into Ukraine in February 2022. It comes as Russian forces push forward in eastern Ukraine on parts of a vast 627-mile front line. The majority of these troops will not be combat ready until the end of 2025 as they will need to be trained, a process that for Russian recruits typically takes up to 12 months. So the impact of these troops will not be felt for some time. The fact that the Russians have been fighting intensely is coming up to 3 years and Russia still needs massive recruitment drives is rather telling that Russia is losing a high number of soldiers. Russia's war in Ukraine is built on a long-term plan to wear down their enemies, and actions such as increasing its army size is a low-cost endeavor to force a settlement on its terms but not trigger an excessive response. This demonstrates that Russia is prepared to commit enormous numbers of troops to force the other side to accept its conditions.